The Elemental Hero archetype is part of the broader hero sub-archetype of monsters predominantly used by Jade and Yuki in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series. They were designed by Kazuki Takahashi and are themed after comic book superheroes that are typically spliced with a natural element. Keep in mind, this archetype is huge, and I mean huge. So huge, in fact, it might be the biggest archetype in the entire card game. As such, I won't be covering the Omni Heroes, Masked Heroes, Vision Heroes, Evil Heroes, Destiny Heroes, and Neo-Spacians, because each of these sub-archetypes have already gotten their own videos, so go watch those after this one if you want. Links will be in the description. However, today we are going to be focusing on the basic Elemental Heroes, starting with Elemental Hero Avion. His flavor text reads, a winged Elemental Hero who wheels through the sky and manipulates the wind. His signature move, Feather Break, gives villainy a blow from sky high. This monster's name of Avion means to be related to birds, which references how this monster has a bird-like appearance. In fact, his design may be influenced from either DC's Hawkman or Marvel's Archangel. In the anime, this monster has several different attack names, such as Feather Quill Cascade, Windstorm Strike, Talon Tear, and Electric Roll. However, in the original Japanese, they were much smarter. They simply used his signature move as this card's attack name, which was Feather Break. This monster appears in the artworks of Dark Fusion, Feather Shot, Fifth Hope, Hero Mask, Hero's Bond, and Mirage Tube. He also appears in the anime exclusive cards Cross Change, End Shuffle, Feather Storm, Power Charger, Soul Union, and Spiritual Fusion. Elemental Hero Bastinatrix. Her flavor text reads, a flame manipulator who was the first Elemental Hero woman. Her burst fire burns away villainy. Believe it or not, despite the fact that this monster isn't an effect monster with an effect that's like too broken and it needs changing, her actual flavor text has been changed since her original release. While the current version states she was the first non-fusion female Elemental Hero, it originally stated that she was the only female Elemental Hero monster. This change was made as of the Legendary Collection 2 Duel Academy Years Mega Pack, which released with Elemental Hero Lady Heat, Poison Rose, and Shadow Mist, which of course no longer made Bastinatrix the only female hero. Her original costume design was altered for international release, as it was deemed too sexual. However, that costume seems to have been inspired from the DC hero Argent's costume from the Teen Titans series. In the English version of the anime, Bastinatrix's attack name is called both Magma Comet and Flare, whereas in the original Japanese, her attack name is simply Burst Fire. She appears in the artworks of Burst Return, Dark Fusion, Elemental Recharge, Fifth Hope, and A Hero's Bond. She also appears in the anime exclusive cards Burst Impact, Hero's Backup, and Spiritual Fusion. Elemental Hero Clayman. His flavor text reads, an elemental hero with a clay body built to last. He'll preserve his Elemental Hero colleagues at any cost. This monster seems to take heavy inspiration from two Marvel superheroes. One is The Thing, and the other is the Juggernaut. Furthermore, The Thing's catchphrase, which was clobbering time, is also influenced in this card's English dub attack name, which is called Clay Clobberer. In the Japanese, it is simply known as Clay Knuckle. Elemental Hero Clayman appears in the artworks of Clay Charge, Fifth Hope, Hero's Bond, and the anime exclusive cards Mud Max, Relationship, Tag Request, Hero's Backup, and Clay Wrap. Elemental Hero Bubble Man. If this card is the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand. When this card is summoned, you can draw 2 cards. You must control no other cards and have no cards in your hand to activate and to resolve this effect. It's worth noting that in the anime, Bubble Man's ability to draw cards does not need the controller's hand to be empty in order for it to activate. This monster's design seems to be based on the DC hero Batman, and both Bubble Man and Spark Man both share names with Mega Man Robot Masters, Bubble Man and Spark Man. In the dub, this card's regular attack name is Bubble Blast, When equipped with Bubble Blaster, its attack name becomes Bombarding Bubble Barrage. Elemental hero Bubbleman appears in the artworks of Bubble Illusion, Fifth Hope, and the anime exclusive Tag Request. Elemental hero Sparkman. His flavor text reads, an elemental hero and warrior of light who proficiently wields many kinds of armaments. His static shockwave cuts off the path of villainy. Fun fact, Bustinatrix isn't the only vanilla elemental hero to receive a flavor description change. Originally, this card would cut off the path of villainy with his Shining Surge Flash. However, it was changed to Static Shockwave as of Dark Revelations Volume 3. This change may have been due to this card's DC influence coming from the hero Static Shock. Then again, his influence may have come from two other DC heroes, Black Lightning and Black Vulcan, who share very similar designs. Sparkman's artwork resembles elemental hero Voltic and Flash's artwork. Speaking of, in the anime, this card's attack name is referred to as Static Shockwave or Spark Storm in the dub, whereas in the original Japanese version, this card's attack name is Spark Flash. Elemental hero Sparkman appears in the artworks of Hero Counterattack, Hero's Bond, Change of Hero, Reflector Ray, Spark Blaster, Fifth Hope, Hero Blast, and the anime exclusive cards Hero Shield, Soul Union, and Elemental Mirage. As well, this monster's physical card appears in the artwork of Fusion Tag. Elemental hero Wildheart. His effect is, this card is unaffected by trap effects. This monster's design seems to be based off of the Marvel hero Kazar. He could also take influence from the DC characters Anthro, Kamandi, and Apache Chief. There are two specific spell cards for Wildheart alone. One is Cyclone Boomerang, and the other is the anime exclusive Wild Hearth. This monster shares the exact same attack level and effect as the Six Samurai monster Tenkabito Shien. And this card's attack name is Wild Slash in the dub, and while he's equipped with Cyclone Boomerang, his attack's called Wild Walloping Boomerang. In the Japanese, it's simply known as Wild Boomerang. Elemental hero Blade Edge. His effect is, if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Blade Edge appears to be based on the Marvel superhero Iron Man. As well, he resembles another elemental hero known as Captain Gold. Blade Edge is the strongest elemental hero monster that isn't a part of the fusions. As well, Blade Edge actually has an evil counterpart known as Evil Hero Malicious Edge. And this monster appears in the artwork of Edge Hammer, with that card being named after Blade Edge's Japanese attack name, Edge Hammer. In the dub, it is instead called Slice and Dice Attack. Elemental hero Necroshade. Once, while this card is in the graveyard, one level 5 or higher elemental hero monster you normal summon can be summoned without tributing. This monster's design seems to be heavily based on the comic book hero Spawn. Its name contains the word necro, which is typically related to corpses. As such, this monster's ability to be usable even while in the graveyard may be a reference to this. The dark energy bolts in the background of this card's artwork appear to have been used in another card known as Get Your Game On. And while this card is not technically usable in official duels, it does have the effect that you can only play this card if you are present at the 2007 Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Championship. The attack of all your elemental hero and Neospatial monsters on the field are doubled. Pretty cool. Elemental hero Necroshade appears in the artwork of Necro Illusion, and his attack name in the dub is Dark Shadow Slash, while in the original his attack name is Dark Scratch. Elemental hero Shadow Mist. Her effect is, if this card is special summoned, you can add one change quick play spell card from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one hero monster from your deck to your hand, except Elemental hero Shadow Mist. You can only use one Elemental hero Shadow Mist's effect per turn, and only once that turn. This was the first dark elemental hero monster to be introduced in the manga. Shadow Mist appears to be a parallel to elemental hero Voltic, as they both have opposite genders and attributes yet identical levels, attack and defense. This card is the last non-fusion elemental hero card played by Jaden Yuki. Coincidentally, it has the same attack as elemental hero Avion, the first elemental hero card he ever played and the first hero card actually seen. And this card's design is similar to that of the Dark Monsters elemental hero Escurado and number 96 Dark Mist. Elemental hero Blazeman. His effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except fusion monsters. Also send 1 elemental hero monster from your deck to the graveyard except elemental hero Blazeman, and if you do, this card's attribute, attack and defense each become the same as the monster sent to the graveyard until the end of this turn. You can only use 1 elemental hero Blazeman's effect per turn and only once that turn. This monster's design may be based on the Marvel comic book hero, the Human Torch, and this monster shares an unfortunate yet unique distinction along with elemental hero Nova Master and elemental hero Captain Gold. They are in fact the only elemental heroes that have never appeared in either the anime or the manga. Elemental hero Captain Gold. His effect is, you can discard this card to the graveyard to add 1 Skyscraper from your deck to your hand. If Skyscraper is not face up on the field, destroy this card. Though this monster is very similar in appearance to Blade Edge, this monster seems to draw more of its comic book inspiration from the Marvel hero known as Prodigy. He could also gain his influence from a fusion of the DC heroes Booster Gold and Superman. This card's effect to search Skyscraper is fitting, as in this card's artwork, Captain Gold is standing atop the skyscraper in Skyscraper. This monster is in fact the strongest level 4 elemental hero in terms of attack points. As well, Captain Gold has both an identical fairy counterpart known as Zeradius Herald of Heaven and an Archfiend counterpart known as Archfiend General. They all share the same level, attack, defense and effect, with its effect being they can all be discarded to search for a field spell. They even have the same drawback, that if they are on the field without the field spell, they will be destroyed. Elemental hero Flash. His effect is, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and 3 elemental hero monster cards with different names from your graveyard to target 1 normal spell card in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. At first glance, elemental hero Flash appears to be based on The Flash from the DC Comics. However, taking into account elemental hero The Flash's older form, elemental hero Voltic, it could be argued that both monsters are referencing Static. One is the younger version and the other is the older. Another card this monster draws inspiration from is elemental hero Sparkman, 2 electrically charged heroes with Flash sharing the same defense as Sparkman's attack. Elemental hero Voltic. His effect is, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target 1 of your banished elemental hero monsters, special summon that target. As I just mentioned, this monster is based on the older version of Static from the DC series, further supported by the fact that this monster is a Thunder type monster, a rare attribute in the elemental hero archetype, as they tend to be warriors. The Japanese name Voltec is a reference to Volteca, the signature attack of Japanese platform hero Pulseman. This card has a manga-only support card known as Voltic Spear, and this card appears in the artwork of Hero Pressure. Elemental hero Ice Edge. Its effect is, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can target 1 set card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone. Destroy that target. Once per turn during your main phase 1, you can discard 1 card. This card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Now, this monster may get its inspiration from either of the Marvel heroes, Iceman or Blizzard. Ice Edge himself appears to be a younger version of elemental hero Absolute Zero. The biggest clues to this are the ice shoulders and identical green eyes. Elemental hero Nosp. Each time this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, it gains 100 attack and loses 100 defense. While you control another face-up elemental hero monster, your opponent cannot target this card for an attack, and this card can attack your opponent directly. First of all, this monster's name of Nosp is a German word which translates to bud, and as such, this monster eventually blossoms into the elemental hero known as Poison Rose. This evolution actually makes it very similar to elemental hero Glowmoss, as both Nosp and Glowmoss have androgynous appearances at first. However, their evolved forms, Poison Rose and Twinkle Moss, become female. Nosp's comic book influence could be from the Marvel hero Groot, since both are walking, talking plants. However, her older version may be based on a different hero altogether. And lastly, this was the first non-warrior type elemental hero. Elemental hero Poison Rose. Her effect is you cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned with Rosebud and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Each time this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, it gains 200 attack and loses 200 defense. Your opponent can only target elemental hero Poison Rose for attacks. As we mentioned before, this monster's younger form is elemental hero Nosp, which is German for elemental hero Bud. As such, this monster's Japanese name is actually Elemental Hero Bloom, which is German for flower. This perfectly cements this monster's evolution. Also, bloom sounds like bloom, which means to produce a flower. This monster, as opposed to the other heroes, may in fact be based on a supervillain instead. Specifically the DC villain Poison Ivy. Also, this monster shares an interesting resemblance to two plant-type Digimon, Lilymon and Rosemon. And lastly, this monster's buds appear in the artwork of Rosebud along with elemental hero Nosps. Elemental hero Lady Heat. Her effect is during each of your end phases, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each face-up elemental hero monster you control. This monster is known as elemental hero Lady of Fire in the Japanese, which makes it all the more convenient that this monster gets its hero inspiration from the DC heroine known simply as Fire. Lady Heat's costume bears a strong resemblance to elemental hero Bastinatrix's original design. She even has a male counterpart called elemental hero Heat. In fact, let's talk about the female elemental heroes and censoring for just a second. Fun fact! Every non-fusion lady hero in the archetype has had its artwork altered in some way or form. Both Bastinatrix and Poison Rose were censored due to their outfits. As well, Poison Rose had her breast size reduced for being too explicit. And while these two artworks were not necessarily changed for explicit reasons, Shadow Mist had her artwork zoomed out, and elemental hero Nosp was drawn in a completely different pose compared to their original manga counterparts. However, the point I'm trying to make with all this is elemental hero Lady Heat is the only non-fusion female elemental hero to not have any art alteration at all for the TCG release. This monster could be the elemental hero counterpart to Dark Magician Girl. Due to their slightly similar appearances, the fact that they both have a male counterpart, as well, elemental hero Heat has a similar effect to that of Dark Magician's ability. Monsters like Avion and Bastinatrix and Robo Lady and Robo Yaru are pairs of opposite gender monsters who both confuse together and create two different monsters. Avion and Bastinatrix can create Flame Wingman, Phoenix Enforcer, and Evil Hero Inferno Wing. Robo Lady and Robo Yaru can create Super Robo Lady and Super Robo Yaru. So, in regards to this, Lady Heat and Heat can create both Elemental Hero Inferno and Elemental Hero Nova Master. Elemental Hero Heat. His effect is this card gains 200 attack for each elemental hero monster you control. This monster's hero inspiration seems to be based on the Human Torch. This monster is the male counterpart to Lady Heat. As well, he shares a similar style of armor to her, along with another monster known as Phoenix Gearfried. Also, this monster is one of the few non-warrior type elemental hero monsters in the archetype. Elemental Hero Neo Bubbleman. His effect is this card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card cannot be special summoned except by sending an elemental hero Bubbleman you control and Metamorphosis in your hand to the graveyard. This card's name is treated as elemental hero Bubbleman while it is face up on the field. Destroy an opponent's monster that battles this card at the end of the damage step. This monster is an upgraded form of Bubbleman, and as such, since Bubbleman is based on Batman, this monster may be an advanced armor form of Batman himself. To summon this monster, the spell card Metamorphosis is required. Sadly, at the time of this video, Metamorphosis is banned in the TCG, making this card unable to be summoned in its intended way. However, there is a card known as A Wild Monster Appears, which has the effect of, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, special summon from your hand one monster with an original level of 10 or lower that cannot be normal summoned or set, ignoring its summoning conditions. It is unaffected by the effects of your cards, except for its own effects and this card's. Also, shuffle it into the deck during your opponent's next end phase. For the rest of this turn, you cannot normal summon or set or special summon monsters, and your opponent takes no damage. All this really means is, with this card, Neo Bubbleman can live on. But is it really worth it? Lastly, this monster appears in the artwork of Relationship. Elemental Hero Ocean. His effect is once per turn during your standby phase, you can target one hero monster you control, or in your graveyard, return that target to your hand. This monster's superhero inspiration may have come from the Marvel hero Namor the Submariner, or from the DC hero Aquaman. A monster this card shares similarities to is Warrior of Atlantis, as they share the same appearance, attribute, and level. And this monster appears in the manga exclusive artworks of Bewitchment, Element Counter, Hero Pressure, and Magic Elf Order. Elemental Hero Prisma. His effect is once per turn you can reveal one fusion monster from your extra deck and send one of those fusion materials whose name is specifically listed on that card from your deck to the graveyard. This card's name becomes the sent monsters until the end phase. This monster's comic book inspiration could be based on the Marvel character Dr. Spectrum. However, to me he even more closely resembles the Ben 10 character Diamond Head. In fact, even more similarities, his appearance is very reminiscent of the monster Prisman, due to both of them being made entirely of crystals. This monster has an altered artwork compared to its anime form. Not only that, but the anime version of this monster was actually a level 5 monster instead. And this card's effect name is Reflect Change in the anime. Elemental Hero Solid Man. His effect is when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower hero monster from your hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a spell effect, you can target one hero monster in your graveyard, except Elemental Hero Solid Man. Special summon it in defense position. You can only use the effect of Elemental Hero Solid Man once per turn. The newest addition to the Elemental Heroes, Solid Man was released in the V-Jump March 2018 promotional cards as an ultra rare. The ends of his weapons, as well as part of his uniform, seem to feature diamonds. This could just be speculation, but these could be part of Elemental Hero Prisma, since he himself almost looks exactly the same as the material on these parts. Elemental Hero Woodsman. His effect is once per turn during your standby phase, you can add one polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Known as Elemental Hero Forest Man in the Japanese, this card's hero inspiration could come from either the DC character The Swamp Thing, or even from Groot. He appears in the artworks of A Hero Lives, and in the manga exclusive cards Hero Soul, Element Intervention, and Hero Pressure. Elemental Hero Stratos. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. You can destroy spell or trap cards on the field up to the number of hero monsters you control, except this card, or add one hero monster from your deck to your hand. Known as Elemental Hero Airman in the Japanese, this card was the first Elemental Hero to be limited, and eventually banned in the trading card game. His comic book influence may have come from the Marvel character Acreo Year, who was a member of the Micronauts. Stratos was in fact the first manga hero card to be released internationally, whereas it was the second to be released in Japan. The first in Japan was instead Elemental Hero Ocean. This monster's name of Stratos could mean one of two things. It is either derived from the word stratosphere, which is a reference to the second major layer of the Earth's atmosphere, reflecting its air appearance, or it could come from the Greek stratos, meaning army, alluding to the monster's ability to bring out more heroes. This card appears in the artwork of Hero Pressure. Moving on to the fusions. Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. He requires Elemental Hero Avion and Elemental Hero Bastinatrix. He must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. Flame Wingman has many similarities to another hero monster, Destiny Hero Plasma. Both of their right arms have a dragon-like head on them, them. As well, they both have wings, albeit Flame Wingman's only got the one. They also both have claws and a tail. Speaking of, Flame Wingman appears in a few cards in different ways. For instance, his wing and dragon head arm appear in the artwork of Legacy of a Hero. Flame Wingman himself appears in the artworks of Hero Wing, Skydive Scorcher, Cross-Dimensional Duel, as well as in the manga exclusive alternate Fusion. A silhouette of the monster also appears in the form of a dog tag in the artwork of Fusion Tag. As well, in the original first season of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime, Flame Wingman was in fact a level 8 monster. Flame Wingman has an exact opposite within the Elemental Hero fusions in the form of Steam Healer. Coincidentally, both monsters use Bastinatrix as materials. However, it seems that Avion creates a monster that specializes in dealing damage with its effect, which burns your opponent's life points depending on the monster's attack. Whereas with Steam Healer, Bubbleman creates a monster that heals life points based on the monster's attack instead. Its attack name in the Japanese anime is called Flame Shoot, or when it attacks with Skyscraper, Skyscraper Shoot. In the English version, it's simply called Skydive Scorcher or Infernal Rage. Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Made up of Elemental Hero Avion and Bastinatrix, it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. While Flame Wingman was the first fusion monster used by Jaden in the anime, this was the first fusion monster played by Asta Phoenix. As such, this card's name of Phoenix Enforcer fits perfectly with Asta Phoenix's name. As well, this card's Japanese name Phoenix Guy fits in with the naming trend of the Destiny heroes, more than that of the Elemental heroes, as nearly all of the Destiny heroes feature the Guy suffix at the end of their names. Its attack name in the Japanese is Phoenix Shoot, and both Phoenix Enforcer and Flame Wingman have upgraded forms. For example, Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman. Made from Elemental Hero Flame Wingman and Elemental Hero Sparkman, its effect is it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 300 attack for each Elemental Hero card in your graveyard. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster in the grave. The design of this monster is basically Flame Wingman coated in new armor. He even has a second wing now. Congrats. However, an interesting difference is that despite the fact Phoenix Enforcer's upgraded name is Shining Phoenix Enforcer, you would think that this monster would have been called Shining Flame Wingman, when instead it's called Shining Flare Wingman. This could have been done due to the association of flares giving off light, as this monster is now a light attribute monster. In fact, speaking of its name, the shining part of its name makes it similar to Blue Eye's Shining Dragon, for the fact that it is an upgraded version of a monster clad in armor, as well it has shining in its card name, and it gains 300 attack for every monster of its type in the graveyard. This monster is the cover card for Elemental Energy and Dark Revelations Volume 4. And fun facts, if this monster is summoned in its intended way by fusing Avion and Bastinatrix to form Flame Wingman, then fusing that with Sparkman to form Shining Flare Wingman, there will be at least 4 Elemental Heroes in the graveyard, giving this card an attack of at least 3,700. This is interesting because this monster's materials, Flame Wingman and Sparkman, if we add their attacks together, it makes exactly 3,700, the same as their fused form. Elemental Hero Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Made up of Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer and Elemental Hero Sparkman, its effect is it must be special summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 300 attack for each Elemental Hero card in the graveyard. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. So this card is the upgraded version of Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer. It was the cover card for Enemy of Justice, Duelist Pack Asta Phoenix, and Dark Revelation Volume 4. Its attack name is Shimmer Kick in the dub and Shining Finish in the Japanese version. Elemental Hero Thunder Giant. Requires Elemental Hero Sparkman and Elemental Hero Clayman. It must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can discard one card to target one face-up monster on the field with original attack less than the attack of this card. destroy that target. Funnily enough, in the anime during seasons 1 and 2, Jaden stated that he didn't need to discard a card to use Thunder Giant's effect, instead saying that his effect is triggered as soon as Thunder Giant hits the field. In fact, Thunder Giant's effect is sadly an inferior version to two other hero monsters that use Sparkman as part of their fusions. The first is Elemental Hero Plasma Vice. Though Thunder Giant can destroy face-up attack and defense monsters, their attack has to be less than his, while Plasma Vice can destroy any monster in face-up attack position. He even has a piercing effect. The other superior version is Thunder Giant's evil hero counterpart known as Evil Hero Lightning Golem, which can indiscriminately destroy any monster on the field with absolutely no cost. The attack of this monster is the combined attack of both its fusion material monsters, and its attack name in the anime is called Voltic Thunder, whereas its special effect is called Vapor Sparks. Elemental Hero Plasma Vice. Made up of Elemental Hero Sparkman and Elemental Hero Blade Edge, it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. You can discard one card to target one attack position monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. Plasma Vice's effect is made up of two other Elemental Hero monsters. One is, as we mentioned before, from Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, gaining its destruction effect. The other effect Plasma Vice has is that of its other fusion material, Blade Edge, as it can deal piercing damage identical to that of Blade Edge's. This monster's attack and defense are 2600 attack and 2300 defense. However, in the anime, Plasma Vice has 2800 attack and 2300 defense, making it one of the rare cases where the attack or defense values of a monster are altered after its release. Plasma Vice is the cover card on the Japanese Duelist pack Jaden Yuki 3, and this card's attack name was Plasma Pulsation in both versions. Elemental Hero Steam Healer. Made up of Elemental Hero Bastinatrix and Elemental Hero Bubberman, it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, gain life points equal to the attack of the destroyed monster in the grave. This monster is the cover card for Duelist pack Jaden Yuki. As its name suggests, the combination of the fire-attributed Bastinatrix and the water-attributed Bubbleman create steam. Its healing ability is typically a reflection of how water is associated with healing. Going further than that though, a steam room is typically seen as a therapeutic and healing place, which may be what this monster's effect is based on. Also, this monster's design seems to be heavily inspired by the genre of science fiction that features steam-powered machinery rather than advanced technology that is known as steampunk. Elemental Hero Mudballman. Made up of Elemental Hero Bubbleman and Elemental Hero Clayman, his effect simply reads, must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. That's it. Like Steam Healer, the two monsters' elements fused together result in this monster's appearance. Water and earth, mud. In fact, the appearance of this monster is very reflective of Clayface from Batman. And honestly, any kind of mud monster from anything you've ever seen ever. They all pretty much look the same. This is the only Elemental Hero fusion monster that has no effect. In fact, its only real incentive is its high defense point value. However, fun fact, in the anime, this was the monster that was attacked when Jaden Yuki suffered his first loss at the hands of Zane Truesdale. Elemental Hero Necroid Shaman. Made up of Elemental Hero Wildheart and Elemental Hero Necroshade, must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card is special summoned, target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. Then special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard to their side of the field. This card was the first Dark Elemental Hero fusion monster to be released. The word Necro in its name is typically related to corpses. As such, this monster has the ability to bring back a monster from the dead, an ability seemed to be inspired by Necroshade's graveyard influence. Elemental Hero Wild Wingman. Made up of Elemental Hero Wildheart and Elemental Hero Avian, his effect is he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can discard one card to target one spell or trap card on the field, destroy that target. This card has an evil hero counterpart known as Evil Hero Wild Cyclone. They both share the same attack, defense level and abilities, with the ability of affecting spells or trap cards. Elemental Hero Wild Edge. Made of Elemental Hero Wildheart and Elemental Hero Blade Edge, he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack every monster your opponent controls. One attack on each monster per battle phase. Awesomely, this monster is known in the Japanese as Elemental Hero Wild Jaggy Man, which, in my opinion, is an awesome name. His design appears to be based on the DC superhero Cyborg, and this monster has fully inherited one of its fusion materials, specifically Blade Edge, as Wild Edge has the same attack and the ability to deal piercing damage. Strangely though, he doesn't gain Wild Heart's resistance to spells or traps. In fact, this is the only Wild Heart fusion which doesn't inherit his tattoos nor have 1900 attack. In the Duelist Pack Jaden Yuki 2 print, Elemental Hero Blade Edge was mistakenly listed as Elemental Hero Edgeman in this monster's fusion materials. This card shares the same attack, defense type and attribute with Buster Blader, and its attack name in the Japanese version is Infinity Edge Slicer, while in the English dub its attack name is called Scimitar Slash. Elemental Hero Rampart Blaster. Made of Elemental Hero Clayman and Elemental Hero Bustinatrix, it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack while in face-up defense position, but only if your opponent controls no monsters, and if it does, this card's attack is halved during damage calculation only. Known in the Japanese as Elemental Hero Rampart Gunner, this was the first female Elemental Hero fusion monster to be seen. It also has an evil counterpart known as Evil Hero Infernal Sniper. In the dub, this card's attack name was called Rampart Barrage. Elemental Hero Dark Bright. Made of Elemental Hero Sparkman and Elemental Hero Necroshade, he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card attacks the defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. If this card attacks, change it to defense position at the end of the damage step. If this card is destroyed, target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. In the English and Japanese anime, this card's attack name is called Dark Flash. Elemental Hero Electrum, made up of Elemental Hero Avion, Bustinatrix, Clayman, and Bubbleman. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. While face up on the field, this card is also Wind, Water, Fire, and Earth attributed. When this card is fusion summoned, shuffle all banished cards into the deck. This card gains 300 attack for each monster your opponent controls that shares an attribute with this card. Its English name Electrum is referring to an alloy of gold, reflecting this monster's appearance, whereas in the Japanese it is known as Elemental Hero Elixiria. This may be a reference to Elixir, a medicinal potion. Fittingly, as Amniel was after the Elixir of Immortality, the irony then would be that Jaden would summon this monster against him with a name like this. This card's background artwork refers to the attributes this card gains from its effects: Earth, Fire, Wind, and Water. This card is the only level 10 monster among the Elemental Hero monsters, and therefore is referred to as the Ultimate Elemental Hero monster by Jaden Yuki. This card is the first fusion monster to specifically list 4 monsters as its fusion materials. And this card's attack name was Fusionist's Magistry in the Japanese, and in the English version it was known as Elemental Radiant Burst. When it was equipped with Sabtiel the Philosopher's Stone, its attack name in the Japanese version was Ultimate Sword Sabtiel. Elemental Hero Marina. Made of Elemental Hero Bubbleman and Elemental Hero Avion, he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. While you have any face down cards in your spell and trap card zone, this card can attack your opponent directly. Known in the Japanese as Elemental Hero Sailor Man, this card has the lowest attack of all the Elemental Hero fusion monsters. Its appearance seems to be based on Marvel's Namor the Submariner, due to its similar English name and minimal clothing. Also, Namor, despite being an aquatic hero, can fly with wings on his feet, which could be why this card has Elemental Hero Avion as a material. And this card's attack name is Anchor Knuckle in the original and Anchors Away in the dub. Elemental Hero Tempest. Made of Elemental Hero Avion, Sparkman, and Bubbleman, he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can send one of a card you control to the graveyard to target one monster you control. While this card is face up on the field, that monster cannot be destroyed by battle. This monster's design seems to be Sparkman, wearing the wings and claws of Avion whilst wielding the weapons of Bubbleman. Appropriately, the word Tempest refers to a storm that can cause serious damage. Elemental Hero Tempest is formed from the 3 elemental heroes whose element attributes can result in a tempest: wind, water, and lightning. and this monster also appears in the artwork of UFO-roid Fighter. Elemental Hero Inferno. Made of Elemental Hero Heat and Elemental Hero Lady Heat, he must be special summoned and cannot be special summoned 5 other ways. If this card battles a water monster, this card gains 1000 attack during the damage step only. Known in the Japanese as Elemental Hero Heat Blast, this monster's attack is equal to the attack and defense of Elemental Hero Lady Heat added together, while this monster's defense is equal to the original attack of Elemental Hero Heat. It shares a similar appearance to Elemental Hero Nova Master, which is fitting, as originally in the manga it was supposed to be one of the Omni Elemental Heroes. However, when the Omni series started forming, this card was already out. As a result, another Fire Hero fusion monster was made, Nova Master, now with a more flexible summoning requirement. And this card is the only Elemental Hero fusion monster whose type isn't Warrior. Elemental Hero Terra Firma. Made of Elemental Hero Ocean and Elemental Hero Woodsman, he must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can tribute one face-up Elemental Hero monster. This card gains attack equal to the tributed monster's attack until the end phase. Known in the Japanese as Elemental Hero the Earth, this monster is the signature card of Jaden Yuki in the manga. It was given to him by Koyo Hibiki. It is also a part of the Legendary Planets series, where all of the cards in that series each represent a planet in our solar system. I would highly recommend you give both of these videos a watch, as I go into great detail about this monster in both. However, this monster does have an upgraded form known as Elemental Hero Core. Requires 3 Elemental Hero monsters, must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn when this card is targeted for attack, you can make this card's attack become double its current attack until the end of the damage step. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can target one monster on the field, destroy it. When this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can target one level 8 or lower Elemental Hero fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. This monster is clearly an upgraded form of Terra Firma, based on the fact it has a similar design and coloration to Terra Firma. As well, it has the same attribute and type, is 1 level greater than its original form, and has 200 more attack and defense. As well, with this monster's ability, you can summon Terra Firma from the graveyard. Also, while Terra Firma represents Earth, this card represents the core of the Earth itself. And this monster bears a striking resemblance to Stan Lee and Bones' Hero Man. Oh, there's also Routweiler and Hero Kid, which are both references to superhero sidekicks. Also, there's all the Elemental Hero support. I'm probably going to miss most of it out, but here it is in alphabetical order. Bubble Shuffle, Burst Return, Change of Hero, Reflector Ray, E-Emergency Call, Elemental Recharge, Fake Hero, Fifth Hope, Get Your Game On, Hero's Bond, Hero Barrier, Hero Blast, Hero Counterattack, Hero Flash, Hero Heart, Hero Lives, Hero Mask, Hero Signal, Hero Spirit, Kid Guard, Miracle Contact, Miracle Fusion, Mirror Gate, Oversoul, Parallel World Fusion, Our Righteous Justice, Skydive Scorcher, Skyscraper, and Skyscraper 2 Hero City. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, as well as to Light and James Pike. But I hope you enjoyed the video. This video took forever to make, so please give it a like. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.